We are trying to play with the karma. We are trying to change the energies, and sometimes giving these free tips, we are taking that karma. That's why previously many practitioners used to say that don't give any advice without taking a red envelope.
Welcome to Winning with Feng Shui. Join me, Candace, a certified Feng Shui practitioner, for a chat with Feng Shui experts from every walk of life. They'll share their inspirational stories of helping themselves and their clients achieve winning results and success using Feng Shui. Hey guys, I'm so excited today to be joined by Tanya from Tanya Feng Shui. So Tanya is an internationally trained and recognized classical Feng Shui and Chinese metaphysics consultant and Vastu. Can you help me say this?
It's Vasthu Shilpa Shastra.
Practitioner, yes, that's it. Her primary focus has always been to help others holistically. Although she started her career as a lawyer, she's always been passionate about healing and spirituality. Moving across the world and learning about each country's culture led towards various paths like yoga, Tai Chi, and meditation. Soon she began studying Vedic Astrology, Vastu, Numerology, and various branches of Feng Shui, Reiki, and interior design. After attaining knowledge in the various arts by studying with several masters in the US and Asia, she knew that Feng Shui and Vastu was her true calling and subsequently did extensive study with the help of acclaimed teachers and practitioners. Tanya has over 20 years of experience producing results using expertise and professionalism in her work, drawing from the depth of knowledge in many disciplines of Chinese metaphysics and the Vedic system. She is very passionate about helping her clients create unique comfort spaces and unique expressions of who they are and the life they want to live. Tanya aims to bring insight to her clients to know the best actions to take and when to take them and how to maximize their potential in their environment for personal transformation and to empower their goals. I think that's an amazing summary, I think, of what Feng Shui can do for us. I'm so excited to have you on to talk about your work.
Thank you for inviting me, Candace.
Yes. I love how unique we kind of, beforehand, of course, we chit chat, and beforehand we kind of talked about how, I love how everyone's background or, you just life experiences kind of brings them to practice Feng Shui in different ways. So one thing I don't know a lot about, I kind of looked at briefly before, before talking to you, was Vastu. Can you explain a little bit about, the system?
Basically, Vasthu Shastra is something like our Feng Shui only, but this has been derived from Vedas long time ago. It actually is derived from Atharva Veda. So in this thing, what we say is like we call something called as Vastu Purush, which we say he comes and lies down on the floor of the house. So based on the way he lies down on the floor of the house, we dedicate the house according to that. There are many similarities between Vastu and Feng Shui. Like in Feng Shui, we have the center as open because we want the energies to come and collect. We don't want basically anything in the center. It's the same thing in Vastu Shastra. We call it as Brahmastan. So we don't really like anything in there like stairs or kitchen or toilets or anything of those kind of things. So in Vastu Shastra, basically it depends on the sun, where the sun god is, how the sun rays are falling on the house. So based on those things, we arrange the different rooms and all those things. So, and even like astrology is a major part of how we dedicate the house. Like according to their birth charts, we see whether this particular house entrance suits the people who are going to live in that house. So based on that, we select the particular houses. Yeah.
Yes, when I was looking, it looked very similar to Feng Shui in that there was different, the directions and stuff. And that's kind of as far as I got because I was like, I'm going to ask you about it. So that's really as far as I got into looking at it. But it did look very similar as far as the different directions and stuff like that. That's very interesting. So you guys don't, when you do the Vastu, you don't orient it according to a compass direction. Is that correct?
No, actually, the compass direction is also important. We call it as padas. Like, for example, in Feng Shui, we have North 1, North 2, North 3, right? In this thing, in Vastu Shastra, we call it as North 1 pada, North 2 pada, North 3 padas. Like that, we have a set of 9 padas in the front axis of North, like that. But then the Northeast then are divided into certain more padas. So basically, it's divided into each pada and how that pada goes on. So that pada represents, like in Feng Shui, or North 1 represents the Khan, the rat. So all those things like that, these also represent different gods and their attributes to it.
Oh, that's
So
so
like, for example, North 1 represents to Mercury. So it's like basically Mercury is a god of knowledge, intelligence, career. So those kind of attributes are represented by those things. And according to each pada, then we decide whether this particular thing is good or not. Like, for example, if toilets are there, we don't want them in the center of North. So maybe in the third or fourth pada, they're okay, but not in the center of North. So based on that, we decide.
Oh, that's so interesting. So how did your journey start? Tell us a little bit about where all the interest came from, where you started out with Feng Shui and Vastu.
So basically, when I was in India, I was majoring in law, and then I started practicing it. But then somehow it wasn't me. I'm very good at arguing and doing all that stuff, but somehow it felt like this is not me. So then from my childhood, I had vast interest in astrology, palm history, and Western astrology, numerology, all those kinds of things. Then I started exploring more and more. And my Guruji, my first Guruji, Nilima, she used to come to our house and do the Feng Shui, and she used to even look over the Vastu aspect of it. Then I was like more and more interested the way she was doing it. Every year she used to say the energies have changed over here. We need to do this. We need to do that. I was like, okay, we are living here. What is that so changing? Then it kind of curiosity got into me. And then I started learning from her. At the same time, I started taking Feng Shui classes in Chennai. And then I started taking Vasthu Shastra in Kerala University. I'm still pursuing the Vasthu Shastra. I'm actually currently doing my PhD thesis on Vasthu Shastra. So the learning, I guess, never ends. So that's how I started. But basically, then I interned with Nilimaji. But I felt like there is a lack between how other practitioners are doing. And when I married and moved to US, then I started getting to know other practitioners, but I took a break of a couple of years in between. But then I started learning from different practitioners, and I've been blessed to learn with very good practitioners. Took some classes with Howard, did my Dagwa with Gail and Master Joseph Yu, did some classes with Joe Yap. So various masters I've been, thank God, blessed, I guess, to take their perspective and learn many things from them. And on the process, I started implementing their style with my style of Feng Shui and Vastu. I know we don't try to mix these things, but according to the clients, I do change it up here and there, and based on the results. And if I do experiment anything, I first want to experiment on me or my family and then go to the clients. So that's how basically I started the whole journey process.
Oh, how interesting. Yeah. So yeah, you've studied with some wonderful masters. I've too have taken some classes from the Feng Shui Research Center, and of course, I think everyone's done a Joey Yap course here somewhere.
Yeah, he launches so many courses on the
Yeah, it's hard like not to take a Joey Yap, but they're good. That really was my introduction to classical Feng Shui, because previously I'd kind of learned a little bit of blend of both, like a Western style, like BTB Feng Shui, but using the compass directions still, and it still was a lot. I felt like I needed to know more, and so really Joey Yap was the main one that you come across when you think about Feng Shui, and it really opened my mind to like, oh my gosh, like tapping into the energy of the environment, to what Feng Shui really, like the core heart of where Feng Shui comes from, and yeah.
Previously, before Joey Up, I was all into like even I used to do these trinkets and all those things.
Yeah.
But I really didn't believe in trinkets even while I was doing it. But like the way I've learned it, they were like some trinkets that were prescribed
Mm-hmm.
to put in certain places. But Joey Up actually changed the whole aspect of that, and he kind of brought the holistic nature into things rather than looking at one particular thing. Like so many people are hung up on colors.
Mm-hmm.
Like they hardly have like 10 to 15% of it, but even if they change a small thing like from here to there, a frame from here to there, or an art piece from here to there, they're like worried, like, oh my god, I'm changing this, is this okay? I'm like, don't be so rigid in your mind, let it go. The major things, if you see any issues that are popping up, then let's look for a solution rather than, okay, I'm going to move this from there, so I'm going to have something problems or something. So don't
Yes.
those kind of thing, that kind of thinking, I think Joya was introduced into our Feng Shui community. There are many masters who did that, but I think for me it was him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely when I started, I did have the view, and when he was, when I started I was like, so where do we put stuff? No, you don't put stuff out, and
Not
I had that way too. And I was also scared. I was like, also at the time when I started doing feng shui, I had a lot of personal issues. That's why I started doing feng shui. So I was actually scared. I was like, I'm scared to paint. I'm scared to hang stuff up. If I nail a nail in my walls, it's gonna overactivate. Like I'm scared to put a red, object there. I'm scared to hang a picture. And yeah, for sure, that's one thing I like to teach people. That's why I started the podcast, why I'm doing interviews. Of course we all have different beliefs, but for me, yeah, telling people like, well, you don't really have to be worried about every little placement, every little thing, every little object. If you have a picture of a horse there, it's okay. It's not adding fire to it's okay. You don't have to change all your decor. It's really about how your environment's receiving that chi flow. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And basically, I think we have to educate people that don't just look at feng shui like, okay, I have to, it's all about wealth, wealth, wealth. Many people who come to us, they are mostly about wealth. Okay, what should I do to get more wealth? Those kind of things. Feng Shui is more about growing holistically. Even as we are teaching, we are changing the perspective of who we are, have changed along the way. And I think we need to teach them how to grow on a holistic nature than just putting some stuff here and there to bring more and more wealth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I mean, even the definition of wealth, of course, everybody wants to be prosperous financially, but
Mhm.
when you start getting older, I'll turn 40 this year. And the older you get, the more you really realize, or you start thinking, I want to make sure I'm healthy. I want to make sure my kids are, mentally happy, they're good, they're happy,
Mhm.
they're set for the future. Of course we want to provide financially for our future
Yep.
generations, but it's a balance. There's a balance there.
Yeah, happiness and bliss is the main important thing that we need. When we are happy, we are blissful, then we generate that kind of energy, that kind of chi or aura we call, and automatically the universe will provide us with what we need.
Yeah.
If we are just running around one particular aspect of life and at the same time we are unhappy, like maybe we have health issues or relationship issues, then that will be lingering in our mind, so we are ultimately not happy, and when we are not happy, we are generating that kind of aura. So the universe sees both of those things, and based on that, the energy is, if we are on high, yes, the energy is that coming to us or we are receiving is also high. So ultimately it's for us, we have to be happy and blissful and energetic at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's even the saying in feng shui that too much wealth deteriorates your health, and that's usually seen, of course, like in the Bazi, but it can affect the health. And so yeah, definitely there's always a balance there. Of course, finances don't hurt, it can't hurt to do.
Yep, it's good to
I
have
do I
money.
do wealth activations. I mean, and they work, they work.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. It's a lot of people, that is one thing that I've noticed, that they want to focus a lot on, of here in the West, of course. You are living in, you live in California, correct?
Yeah.
So you probably see it a lot where you see feng shui online and stuff, and a lot of people want to focus on what they call like their prosperity area or prosperity corner, and I think a lot of people, they want to put the things there and they expect that to be,
Magically
what,
generating
yeah,
wealth.
what changes it. Yeah, but it really is the action and everything behind, you know, even when I do feng shui, the activations or the wealth activations, it's always to trigger the energy in a space that's, holds like the yearly wealth stars, or stuff like that. But it's always with action. There's always something behind, there's always work put in behind it. And that is another thing I think people need to realize about feng shui too.
Like, for example, in Chiman forecasting, not forecasting, if we have to manifest anything according to the formations that we have. So if there is any good formation like flying bird fall into cave or green dragon returns or something like that, then okay, you meditate, you give your command, but after doing that, you have to take that action for that particular manifestation to come true.
Yes.
So many people, what they do is, okay, I have given my command, I'm waiting for it to come. No, it doesn't work like that. Now you start working on it. And then observe the universe giving you hints. Okay, now you started working, you have pressed the button. Okay, let's see whether the reactions are coming or not. So that's how it has to be. The work has to be there. Nothing is going to come pouring magically.
Yes, yeah, for sure. For sure. So you talked a bit about blending the two systems, and I think it's so interesting because I know, like, some people do say, especially I think when you study with different schools and stuff, they don't recommend you mix the two. But I really feel like with our own, again, you kind of develop your own style of feng shui. And I know I've talked to many practitioners that have studied, either both classical and more of a Western approach, and they do blend the two, and so just like, you do with your feng shui. So talk a little bit about how you kind of blend the two together.
See, basically, I just don't blend just Vastu Shastra. I even bring the Feng Shui and Vastu. I blend those two, even though they are like worlds apart. But for example, it depends on the client. Like, for example, I'm working with a client currently, and she actually wanted Vastu consultancy from me, with me. So, and according to her house, her bedroom where they're going to put her bed is in the west-northwest area. It's called west-northwest Pada. So in that Pada, if someone has their bed, it can cause depression for them, and their relation will go down, and all different kinds of things. But at the same time, if I wanted to change the bed, according to Vastu Shastra, the other direction is the north, which I cannot keep, because according to Vastu Shastra, we are not supposed to put our head in the north direction. And one side is the bathroom, and one side is the doors and their closet area. So this is the only direction that we have to put their bed in. So, and generally in US, we have like the master bedrooms are huge with big restrooms and everything. So they don't want to leave the room or take another room, right? So we have to incorporate which is the best way, so that we can enhance their relationship to keep it safe, so that their emotional level is good and their relationship and their love is good. So for this, I then ditched Vastu Shastra aspect of it for their bedroom, and I applied the Dagwa process of it, where I'm looking at the hexagram which falls into the good sector for them, where they can put their bed. But the problem with the Dagwa aspect is we have to be precise with the degrees where it comes into this.
Yeah.
So that's how in some aspects, like where it is needed and I can't find a solution in this, then I go to another solution, tap into something else. So that's how I kind of mix some of those things.
So even with feng shui too, I mean, of course we have the Lopan has all kinds of different formulas, but it really is, to me, it seems like it's really an intuitive thing too, because some formulas we can't use, just like, I guess there's probably sometimes you can't use, the Vastu tradition, so you can do some different things. So yeah, I like that. I like that. It's, it's really tapping into the intuition and understanding what you can use in that client's home, which is just
Yeah.
it's really part of feng shui,
Yeah, because for example, if I go into someone's house where I'm doing the Vasthu Shastra, according to Vasthu Shastra, the southeast is where the kitchen is supposed to be, where the fire energy is supposed to be. And they tell, okay, I have a fireplace here, my kitchen is here, so I'll be using this a lot this year. And I'm going, because I have this feng shui in the back of my mind, and we have this 5 yellow this year, I'm like, okay, use it, but use it less. Maybe don't use your fireplace for this year. They're like, no, no, according to Vastu Shastra, Southeast is supposed to be fire. I'm like, okay, then I have to explain it to them, all the feng shui aspect of it. I know according to Vastu Shastra, we have this, but we have to have the knowledge of both to bring a balance. I don't want you to activate the 5 yellow without knowing, just because it's good in this, it might not be good in that. So I think with having the knowledge in both of them, I kind of know what to do in certain areas and what not to do in certain areas. But most of it comes with experience and certain dogma of the fear that we have to let go and then implement those things that we feel intuitively right.
A lot of the clients I worked with, they're more familiar of like the Western view of feng shui, where, and so they come in and most of their questions are, can I place this here, place that here, the colors and stuff like that. And yeah, the same thing, you just have to tell them, again, what we talked about earlier, well, the color,
Yeah.
it's just a small percentage. And they're kind of like, I can, paint it however I want, you know, a popular feng shui website, says I can do this or that, or I shouldn't do this or that. Or I'm like, well, it's, again, I guess it just depends on what speaks to you, and where you come from in that background. But yeah, for sure. I think in both sides, there's definitely room to, just to be open-minded, just
Yes.
like with Vastu and combining the two. So.
Yeah, and sometimes like people just want quick answers. Like they call you or message you and they say like, okay, I'm having this shoe, my house is facing this, that's it. And they want the answer, quick relief answer for that. I'm like, okay, we have to look at your baza aspect of it, why there is certain issues happening for you. We have to look at your whole. They're like, no, it's okay, just give me some answer. I'm like, how do you want me to give you just an answer? I'll give you a generalized answer, but that might work for you, that might not work for you. But I think sometimes people are like quick fixes, I guess, like a glue. They want some quick fixes. And we have to tell them that we need to go in depth of it. And until then, we cannot say. And even while posting on our Facebook posts and all those things, sometimes like I do give out these good dates and all those things. But these good dates, there is so much of things that we have to screen out when we're doing for a personal consultation. I sometimes worry, like when I'm giving these out, people are just thinking, okay, success day, it's good for me and I'm going to do whatever. But are they observing the clashes? Are they observing the complete day's energies and all those things? Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's a
do.
big thing.
I definitely find that challenging. Sometimes because I've been doing the Learn Feng Shui podcast, and I find it challenging sometimes to come with, feng shui tips, because
Mhm.
sometimes it's so personal. Just the other day, I saw a lady asking on a forum, or like one of the Facebook groups, about using qigong to conceive a child. And I was like, oh, that's a whole consultation. It's too much. It could be bed placement, it could be the botzy, it could be, you can definitely probably you can use Chimen, but there's a lot too, especially when it's something so personal like that.
And even if we do, we are trying to play with the karma. We are trying to change the energies, and sometimes giving these free tips, we are taking that karma. That's why previously many practitioners used to say that don't give any advice without taking a red envelope. That is because then there is an exchange of the energy. Then we are not
Yeah.
getting hit by the energies. But people sometimes they do understand, sometimes they just want, okay, one question after another question after another question, it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it really takes a lot of analysis
Yeah.
for really for a lot of things, and so I know when I give tips, it's just general forms, place your bed
Yeah.
here, you can place desk here. And so that tends to be, but it's still limited because really the person, it really depends on their energy. It really
Yeah.
does. It's hard to
Yeah.
to apply feng shui when you don't, and to make it real personal and really effective when you don't apply everything together. Yeah.
Yeah. At
Yeah.
least these tips, I think they are also beneficial, like up to maybe like 50%, at least people are getting benefited by
Yes.
those things. Some people, they don't have a command position behind their chairs and those things. Some ideas are really good, and it's a way of just giving our energy to them and hope to help the community, right?
Yes, and for sure, it does make an impact. I know it definitely changes the way your space feels, and at least the way
Mhm.
you're receiving that energy. Just that's just the very basic things. It's a good start to starting feng shui, and then if they need something very personal, that's when they can call someone to say,
Yeah.
"Hey, like let's look at conceiving a child." But so I know we all have those favorite stories, those favorite client stories or those favorite stories where we applied feng shui and we're like, "Wow, that was really impactful." Share one of your favorite client stories or one of your favorite stories that you applied to your friends or your family or yourself and saw some really good results?
This I posted on my Facebook page also. I think it was last year. I met this lady in New York when we were living there. It was just by chance, I guess. These couple were married for almost, I think, 8 or 9 years, and they were trying to have kids, but they were not able to conceive. So generally, we were chatting, and I came to know her through some acquaintances, and we were chatting, and then she was like very sad about the fact that she was not able to have a baby. And according to our Indian traditions, we have this dogma that after 30, you can't have kids. At least your firstborn you should have before you're 30. So she was very worried, and then I told her, like, okay, why don't we try this out? The sanha water place, the bed placement method we have, right? Then I went to their house. We did that placement on a very good date. We moved their bed and all those things, and in a couple of months she had a baby girl. And after then they moved from New York to Arizona, and there again she asked me, and I didn't go there, but it was on online consultation because I know all the baza charts and everything. So she sent me her floor plans, and we did the bed placement again, and she had another baby. So then the way she sent me the message, like, it was so touching, like when we change someone's lives, especially in this aspect. She was almost like literally broken down at that point of the time when I met her, because we were all having, my kids were all grown up and all those things. When she used to see kids, it was like something missing in her, right? Especially for
Oh,
most of the women, when we are not parents, when we are trying and we can't become parents. So the amount of affection she showed from the hospital, you won't believe me, after having the baby, from the hospital, she called me, both wife and husband, they called me and they told me that we had our second baby. That was like the most touching thing for me.
oh, that's amazing. Talking about conceiving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had the pleasure of doing that. So I'd look forward to somebody calling and saying that they would like to, because I've learned about the bed placement. But yeah, it really does take that practice. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
really amazing. For sure, to give somebody the gift of, helping them have a family is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
We do, even by doing the feng shui stuff or the vastu stuff, we do drain a lot of our energies. Like example, yesterday I went to a client's house where I did a quick talisman for them, and I had to activate the talisman. Talismans, they don't just work, right? It's a Taoist technique, so we have to activate the talisman. So when we are doing the Prana Mudra to activate the talisman, it takes a lot of our own energy, because we are giving our prana, our life energy, life force to that particular talisman for that to be activated, right? So you instantly, the whole day, you feel kind of drained when you're doing these kind of things. So for us to come out of that, I think we need to have a stable practice like doing meditation or Tai Chi or Qigong, whatever works for each particular person, so that we can maintain our energy level so that we can help others. Yeah, but it does feel drained sometimes, especially
Yeah,
when
it
you're,
does. Yeah.
yeah, when you're trying to do some Reiki or activations of these talismans. It does take a lot of energy from you. And even the space clearing, when we are doing space clearing for certain people, it takes a lot of our energy. We feel drained after it.
Yeah, for sure. I know I have done where I've done like I Ching readings. And so I just do the cards, but I've gone where I've done sat at a shop and done readings. And oh my gosh, like at the end of the day, you feel drained, especially when you're doing something all day long and you're giving.
Yeah.
And a nice salt bath at the end of the day helps helps clear that away for me. Just put
Yeah.
some salt.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, so you do the talisman and sigil making. So explain that, because this is something that's fascinated me. It is part of the five arts of Chinese metaphysics that falls into the category of, I guess, mountain or magic. So yeah, this is fascinating to me, because I've only met one other person online who's done. He does the talisman and sigil making, the Taoist one, but he only speaks Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. So I thought I'm gonna find somebody that speaks English to to talk about it. Talk a little bit about that. That's so fascinating to me.
So basically, the way I started learning was I was fascinated by the fuses and the way it is written and the whole calligraphy, the art aspect of it. Then I started getting into it and started trying to write with the brush, the sumi brush we have. Then I started writing with, it was blunders, like the ink used to drop on the whole bit. So it took a lot of practice, because the way we hold our pen is something like this, right? To write with a pen or pencil. And with the brush, we kind of put the brush like on a straight angle, and then we try to draw it, right? So it takes a little bit of practice, but basically the thing is each person has a different style of writing the talismans, because they first kind of make what we call a house kind of a thing, we can say. So, and then we have like put some like birds or something, and then we put a bagua in between, and then we put certain fusages, and we put a seal, like whatever, like I have my Tanya as my seal.
Mm-hmm.
So I put that in the end of it. And the basic thing most about the talisman is you have to activate it. So unless it's activated, it is something that you have just written. So when it is activated, for certain things, we just keep it like, for example, I'm thinking of actually doing a talisman about medicine Buddha. I was thinking of doing the whole this thing and write the mantra of medicine Buddha in between, so that it can help, especially with the COVID that is going on around us. I just wanted to do it and activate it and put it on my page, so that people can just print it out and do a ritual. And when this is done, they simply have to take that paper, burn it out, so that some people, if it is a like, for example, if we are doing for an abundance or some health clearing talisman, if we are doing, then we give them the talisman, we do the whole ritual. Basically, it's like when we are doing the young sun ritual for any business or something, we do the whole altar and try to activate the business or whatever, right? In the same way, we activate the talisman also with the whole ritual. And then after the whole ritual is done, we ask the client to burn that particular talisman. And then we mix the talisman, either just spread it around the house, or some people like to drink it. They put the ashes of the
Interesting.
burnt talisman, because it's a rice paper, right? So the
Okay.
paper
Okay.
that we use is called it's a rice paper kind of a thing. So they put it in the water and they drink it, so that the talisman which has been activated is going inside our body. So, and all the
Wow.
impurities are gonna go away. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so it's very hard to find information online about this. I know there's different rituals and stuff, I guess, probably according to, your practices and beliefs. But I know I've seen some where they charge them for days and they do offerings and all kinds of stuff. And I just think it's amazing. It's really interesting. It's not something that I've, been able to find anyone to talk about. So thank you. That was really interesting.
Yeah. It's actually nice because what we do is like, on one hand, we are trying to do the Prana Mudra, where we are trying to give the energy. On the other hand, we are trying to chant the mantras inside our mind, so that that energy that we are sending out is through the mantras that we are sending out into that particular talisman. In a particular way, we want that talisman to be activated. It's like an instant energy kind of a thing. That's what we're doing. So basically, it's nothing but a house with so many different kinds of food sigils and your seal.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Kind of food sigils will tell you kind of a story that's written. You get all these Chinese artifacts, right? There'll be so many things written. Like most of them are like Fu Shu Lao.
Yeah.
The prosperity, abundance, and that's the majority of the things that you find.
Yeah. So that's one reason I never try to buy. I know I have a red envelope with a ship on it, but I'm like, I don't know what the words say, and so yeah, that makes a good point too. You don't want to probably just pick something up. It needs to be to probably put that ritual, to put that intent in there, and to be done.
Otherwise, it's just an object.
What they're doing. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree. And you do.
Yeah,
You
yesterday the client, she had a this big, I guess, almost like 2 feet lucky cat in her house. But that was written on some food sigils that were like very overused stuff. But she had this small ship in her house. In where it was about double happiness, and the prosperity symbol and all those things were written, which made a story connection to it. So when I went there, I tried to activate that ship, not the big cat. Even though people think, oh, have this big, this will give more energy. No, even the small thing, which has a meaning, what is written on it, that is what is more important.
Oh, how interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I was attending I was attending a class this morning, and they were kind of talking about altar placement, and they were talking about the different deities and stuff. And of course, you need to, of course, have a deity that you connect to. Don't, I see people buy Buddhas and stuff, and I'm like, you're not Buddhist, you don't, does it mean anything to you, but yeah, one of the things that was said was that when you're looking at the deity that you're buying, make sure that it feels good.
Yeah.
It should feel good. And, if it makes you feel uncomfortable looking at it, or anything, then don't purchase it. And so, yeah, as you see a lot of stuff for sale online, and yeah, I that's what I would say too. Be careful about, some of the objects you're putting in your home, because they do carry energy. I'm not really superstitious in that. Like, I have a Paiyu sitting on my desk because I like him. He's made of jade. I found him in Singapore. And so, yeah, I just think he's so cute. And so that's, but, it's to me, it's cute. It's not, it's not a, really something that I, pray to. But yeah, when you're trying to put your prayers and your beliefs and everything into something, yeah, you really have to be careful about what you're purchasing and what you're putting in your home. Yeah.
I do have a lot of Buddhas around the house because I am more, I guess I like him, I connect to him. But at the same time, at the entrance of my door, I have a huge poster of Shiva, Lord Shiva, that we pray in India. It's just a canvas, all right? He has like 5 different heads depicting different forms of him. So every day in the evening, I have a certain ritual where I ring our singing bell and do the saging, small ritual. Then I sit and meditate. So whenever I'm ringing the bell and walking near the Shiva, I always feel like he's smiling back at me. Then I tried to show it to my husband. I'm like, do you see that he's smiling? He's like, yeah, you're just imagining. But maybe it's my imagination, or maybe it's like when I'm doing it, they are trying to talk to us. We really don't know.
Yeah,
they all do carry energy, so we can't just like put them like, okay, something.
Yeah, yes. That's one of the points that they made. They were saying if you get a good feeling, and you smile or you feel like it's a smiling face, then
Mhm.
that's a good connection to have to. I was like, okay, so that makes perfect sense. That's what I learned this morning in my class. So so
Maybe I was supposed to talk
confirms,
about it.
yeah, confirms your yeah, how you feel about it. Yes, for sure. Yeah. I know. My grandmother was Catholic, and she always had. I mean, the Catholic traditions. I don't know a lot about because I didn't. We didn't. I didn't grow up in that religion, but a lot of the symbology is the Mother Mary, the Virgin Mary, and Jesus on the crucifix. And to me, it's for her. It was just um, her heart, she had
Mhm.
everywhere. She had crucifixes and the Virgin Marys,
Mhm.
and it made her feel comforted and made her feel good, and
Yeah.
so as long as it makes you feel comforted and good, then yeah. If it's that's why I tell people, I'm like, you don't have to buy the statues and stuff if it's not something that
Yeah.
connects to you, or you don't want to place an altar out with a deity you don't connect
Yeah.
so
Some people
yeah.
place, like especially in the Asian countries, they try to place the ancestors as their deities. So
Yes.
whenever we are trying to do some rituals at their particular places, like clearing out rituals or energizing rituals, they try to bring their ancestors' pictures. We can't say no to them because it's something they believe in, they connect to them. So each person has their own belief. In India, we don't put our ancestors' pictures near the altars. We
Mhm.
keep them separately. But even when we put them at the altar on certain days, we place them and then remove them.
Yeah,
So
and there is actually placement in feng shui for, for it's for the ancestors and for deities, but there's certain things that you do have to follow. I actually learned that this morning also. I kind of knew. I didn't know a lot about the ancestors versus where you're putting, your statues. So if you have an urn for your ancestors or certain positions on the altar,
mhm.
in certain positions that you want to place your deities, and
Yes,
sometimes not in the same area. So it
yes.
just kind of depends. But yeah, if anyone has questions on that, I could refer you to someone who who he was, yeah, talking today. So yeah, but because I don't know a lot about that tradition, but I do know that there's specific things even within feng shui that you
Yes.
want to follow with your altar
Yeah.
placement. So yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
But it basically depends on more on the clients. Like if they are very attached to the ancestors and the urns. Like some of my clients, they have their pets also, their urns also in the main living room. Then we have to be very sensitive in telling them where they have to move them because they really don't want to do that because they're very attached to these things.
Mhm.
So we have to be kind of very sensitive in addressing this issue. Sometimes we might even hurt them.
Yes, definitely for sure. You want to keep them in a place that honors them also. You don't want
Yes.
the person to feel like you're taking them away. I recently talked to my husband about this. My father-in-law was cremated, and my sister-in-law has his ashes. But to me, I've also learned that the ashes are very yin, to have in a
Mhm.
space. And sometimes if you put them in the wrong space, you can experience some yin activity in your home.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
and some spiritual activities going on in your home. And so to me, I know I was telling him I really want to get a mausoleum and place the ashes in there in a good position.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's even feng shui for that. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, to
There's fun way
benefit
for
the descendants.
basically everything.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, do you have anything you want to add? This was a very interesting and fun conversation. I love talking all things feng shui and in between.
Basically, I just want to tell like many of the times people are paranoid about even going through the feng shui or the vastu aspect because they're scared to touch anything. And when they see if it's not in proper aspect, okay, my life, because I know it is going to go downhill. There is nothing like that. It's basically we have to approach it in a holistic way and just see what's going on in your life. If there is some issue that's going on in your life, then we better address. So nothing to be paranoid about either of these practices. We can address any of the issues which come. It's better to address them before they buy the house. But yes, even after buying the house, we can address them. But rather than being paranoid about these practices, it's better to be holistically approaching into these practices. The fear is out of this thing. It's like it actually develops a person more holistically and spiritually, and even wealth and abundance.
Yes. So the takeaway, I think, is yeah, it really is. That's one of the reasons I said I kind of start the podcast to kind of take away that superstition, and stuff in Feng Shui. And so I start talking about the objects like this and kind of where the thoughts come from and, and all that. So
doing an amazing job with that, actually.
Oh,
I really love your podcast. Sometimes I do listen to them.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And so if anyone needs to get a hold of you, I'm going to put all of the links to all of your work that you sent. I'm going to put it below. If anyone needs to get a hold of you, if they're interested, they, just want to talk to you, then they can find you. So I would recommend you following her on Facebook because she does this cute little good directions for the day, and it has a little icon of the cold Bernie Sanders, and I just think it's the cutest thing, and so you'll put it in the best direction for the day, and I like that. So
Thank you.
yes. So thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me again. It was lovely talking to you, Candice.
Awesome. I look forward to speaking with you again. It kind of bothers me a little bit sometimes when I see people give like some general tips, especially for things like conceiving a child or for health, because I do feel like it's very personal to the person's personal energy, and so I mean you can give a general tip, but you have to really be careful, and I think especially when you're talking about conceiving, because it's something so personal, it's so personal to the person.
You have to look at so much of in depth into it. You have to look at the 9 element of both the couples, and then according to where their bed position is, we have to change it according to their 9 elements, and there's so much involved in it. Yeah, we can't just give it to them like that. When people so awesome. They call you and tell you the small changes that we have done in their lives, and that has impacted them in a huge way, it gives us the motivation to learn more, do more, because there are so much that we really don't know. It's a huge world, both in Feng Shui and Vastu. It's more tapping into those things and learning those things so that we can help more of our customers in whatever pain they're going through.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We all basically, I think we are inclined towards this metaphysical nature because we have certain, I think, in our Baza chart, some spiritual pillars somewhere that we have, which is making us go towards this. I didn't even know that my career pillar is a complete spiritual pillar. So later on, when I started learning Baza, then I came to know, oh, this is why I didn't want to be a lawyer, and I changed my path.
Be sure to support today's guest by following the links below and checking out their work. Also, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit that little notification button so you can be notified when new videos come out.